Well, I appreciate you being here today. I'm going to try not to waste your time. I know what you paid for this show, so I'll try to make it worth at least that much. Right? And let me start then. Title and all stuff. First off, I'm giving this. Anything you see today is yours by a Creative Commons license right there. So you can feel free to take snapshots, screenshots, use it as you see fit. You can modify it. The condition is that attribution means you let people know where it came from, and there's a reference right there, and that you make your modifications available to anyone else under the same license. And let's start with a couple of acknowledgements. Wherever you are, you're on land. We're not all on the same land, and even the servers that bring us all together here are on land. And the land where I am seated is unceded Ohlone land, Ramaytush Ohlone. It's good to just remember that. As a measure of, it's hard to find out just exactly what the history of the land is that wherever we go and find out who once lived here and stewarded this land. And that, I think, is just another measure, another indication of the complete cultural erasure that's undergone. And we here today continue to benefit from that long ago usurpation. Second, I'm here to talk about racial equity, and I'm a white man. It can appear or seem as though this session would be recentering a voice that needs to be decentered in this discussion. Just want to acknowledge that. And a little disclaimer, I'm no expert. I am a practitioner, like many of you. I'm just getting a message that my presentation is not showing. We're only seeing my desktop. You don't want my desktop. You want to see, welcome to Zoom land. You want to see my presentation. And I'm going to share my screen. All right. How about that? You see INE? Excellent. Let's move on. INE, I'm no expert. I'm a practitioner like many of you, and I've just been working in my career in the education field, trying to be thoughtful and equitable over a long period of time, and that's what I bring. I don't know my way around this space. As you can see right there, I didn't know that you were looking at my desktop. So this is my meme. I took high school Spanish. Attribution and Creative Commons license again. Thank you, Benjamin. Okay, I'm trying to keep one eye on the chat here. There's the attribution. And you can take a screenshot of that one if you want. Okay. Yeah. Let me pay a little more attention to the chat. And then my meme that I show to students is Donde está la biblioteca, because I took Spanish in high school and then I went to Mexico City, and a gringo in Mexico City with Spanish speaking skills about Donde está la biblioteca, you're not going to get very far. And this is how I feel. That feeling from that experience as a teenager is how I feel navigating the virtual environment. So when things go wrong, I just say, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? I'm trying to learn this language, and that's about my level of fluency. I think I've demonstrated that pretty well today. Let's start with Einstein. I don't believe in reading to literate people, so y'all can pick that up there. We're talking about, the problem we're talking about is racial equity, and it cannot be solved from the level of racial consciousness that created it. So we need to level up our racial consciousness. I'd introduce myself in a longer session. That's my baby brother, Greg, who will be 60 next week. And two things I'll tell you about that kid. He loved numbers, and his favorite country was Kenya. In the 2-hour session, you'd get a story there. Let's get into it here. If it feels normal, it's not equity. That's my theme. And I just snapped some photos around my campus. What you're looking at there is a sign in front of a dentist's office in Los Altos, California. That's about a mile from my campus. That's a yoga studio sign that is on the bus line that goes up to our campus. Remember when we used to take transit? Jar of salsa from the grocer. And let's do this as a chat blast. So the question I want you to think about is, what do you notice about these images? And when I say chat blast, what I want to do is get your fingers on the chat and don't hit enter, but type in your response, what you notice, and we'll take a moment on this. And then when you have something ready, please give me in the participants window reactions. Let's see, where is it going to be now? In the reactions, let me see if we can say yes. This time I don't see my reaction. I'll tell you what, let's just take a moment on that then. Just take a moment when you're ready. Thank you, Kanadi. Just drop it right on there. Carolyn, yeah. I see Maximize, Massive, I see claims of authenticity, light on tradition, appropriation. Thank you, Cerise. You got an academic term for us that we'll come across. Culture. Kanadi, thank you. Strip it of the culture at the same time. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, those are the things I notice. I mean, I notice braces on a totem. I notice light on tradition. Carolyn, thank you. I notice salsa authentica. Oh, look, it's made with fresh chili peppers. Well, of course it is, because it's authentic. Yeah, multicultural images. Yeah, I would say I wouldn't use these in my classroom as indicators. What I would like you to now think about and drop also into the chat is what beliefs must be held. This is normal stuff, right? That's just in the environment around my college. What beliefs must be held for those things to be normal? And I would like you to be descriptive and reserve judgment, so don't be judging here. I'm asking you to be kind, please. What beliefs? So here are the images. I'm a dentist, and I use some indigenous a totem and I put braces on it. So what do you notice? What beliefs must be held? Thank you, Cerise. Yeah, what beliefs must be held? So the person who put this on, who put this up, had some beliefs. What were they? Crucial to honor. Thank you, Brianna. What beliefs must be held for this to be normal? That's right. Thank you, Benjamin. Sean. Not important. Colonization. Free for me to use with or without understanding. What beliefs happen? Nadia, see that. Thank you, Tamina. It's okay to use these symbols. I see that. There's no deeper cultural meaning or significance. And there is a user's culture is superior in some way. There's all that there. Thank you. I asked you to be kind, reserving judgment, because I'd just like to know if anyone can read that. If you can read that, please drop an English translation into the chat for us. Yeah, maybe, right? Yeah, maybe welcome. Yeah, we can maneuver in and out of diversity. Yeah, we can maneuver in and out of diversity as needed. Thank you, Virgil. I don't know what this means, but until I started preparing for this session, that was a welcome mat in front of my home. That has been in front of my home for 15 years. And you can see it's pretty worn. And I realized what was happening there. I'm sure that I bought that, and there was probably a little card attached to it that had a translation. I probably bought it at a place that said, thank you, Crumpet. Yeah, it means flat. Right? Yeah, it's level or card. Nice, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, here we go. All right, the point is that I, the user, did not know what that meant. It came with a little card, and I'm sure I bought it at a place that said, we shop the world so you don't have to. We'll go get the cool stuff and bring it back here, and then you can just use it, right? And I saw it in the chat. What you named was cultural appropriation, and that's what we're talking about here. The dominant culture taking and using for its own purposes. And you saw those were signs around my campus. It's perfectly normal. I'm going to drop one academic reference on you. This book was given to me by people in the room a couple of years ago, and it's a sociologist who looked at two white groups, one on opposite ends of the political spectrum, one white nationalist, one white anti-racist, and examined how they developed their own white identity. He identified 6 aspects of identity that are particularly problematic. This book was a 250-page cringe for me. It's like I'd come across a chapter and it's like, oh, okay, and don't do that. Normal stuff. That was a real eye-opener. And what Huey says about his term for cultural appropriation is color capital white debt. White debt being whiteness is bland, cultureless, or empty. Color capital associated with perfect and authentic, exotic, carnal, soul. And what he adds is that color capital white debt reproduce racist understandings of racial difference. That's what cultural appropriation does. It exoticizes, it marginalizes, otherizes, turns it into the other, and it is dominant culture, and it is always experienced as normal. You can see it in the grocery store. Perfectly, perfectly normal. You don't have to go far to see the racist understanding of racial difference. When we can see in the news indigenous symbols and totems appropriated in the service of white supremacy. So what are we talking about? We got a problem. What's the problem? The problem is racial equity, and you're going to get 2 slides of data. This is Foothill's student success data, percent of students who pass the course, split out by race, and guess what? There's a predictable racial difference. It's been the same for years. It's the same at your school. It's the same whatever metric you look at. It doesn't matter. And my point here is that it's worse online. We've got evidence that students succeed more in face-to-face than they do in an online environment. And here we are, completely online. So we'll take a little poll, and I think I can do this now. Yes, it is set up. I'm going to launch a poll. The virtual learning environment is an equity. You choose storm, poll, show, or pile. To understand the prompts, you need to, careful now, you need to insert your favorite scatological vulgarity in front of each term. What are we dealing with here in the virtual environment? Mm, 16, we got about half the people there. 20. That changes what you choose, yeah. Are you viewing the results? Let me ask you. Can you see this going live? No, okay, you don't see the results yet. I think I might have to. We got about 23 responses. It's coming in. Storm seems to be the most popular. I'm going to end the poll and share the results. This is what I saw. Yeah, you got it right. I realized I'm supposed to stick something in front of it. See? Yeah, put something. Well, come on. This is a family show. We're not going to say those words here, are we? I would have chosen to show. Thank you, Jason. Can I change my answer now? Can I get credit? Can I get those points? Yeah, whatever. Okay, fine. All right. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. My favorite was show. Yeah, thank you. It shows whole. Yeah. Here are my beliefs. Normal assessment policies, normal policies reinforce racist educational outcomes, and assessment for racial equity can interrupt that. Let me tell you what I'm talking about here. This is my professional development culmination as of today. Culturally relevant teaching with authentic and qualitative assessment. And culturally relevant teaching, you can get a PhD in that. We've got an hour, so I'll drop a couple of quotes on you. Here's the creator of that term, Gloria Ladson-Billings. Maintain cultural integrity while succeeding academically. I think Ralph Ellison spoke it better 50 years earlier. This quotation is on my syllabus, and I'll give you a moment to read that. I don't need people to sing my praises, but I need to earn my students' trust enough so that they will drop their defenses and hostility. And I do that by finding ways to affirm their lived experience, cling to that which is real to them, and all I'll do is layer on some vocabulary and techniques and procedures and academic stuff for them to have tools to think about and process and name and discuss their own lived experience. Culturally relevant teaching. I believe, I'm a math teacher, I believe that my students have all the math they need already within them. It is my job to go find it and connect it to my curriculum because I know it's there. Zaretta Hammond, terrific book. What happens in dominant culture is that we mistake culturally different ways for learning. We mistake them for intellectual deficits. And she says, hey, you know, if you recognize that, you can really, really teach something. Zaretta Hammond. So that's what you get for culturally relevant teaching. You don't, yeah, you can read about that. Here is my professional journey. Over the course of my 30-year career, all of my professional values, racial equity, ethical practice, academic integrity, they have all led me to the same conclusion that my assessments must be authentic. And once I got to that point, I saw, as a math person, I saw that points totally get in the way of learning. So that told me that my assessment had to be qualitative. And once I got to qualitative, authentic assessment, that drives, I use anthrogogy, not pedagogy, because I teach people, not children. And so that drives my authentic qualitative assessment, drives everything I do in the classroom. If you're looking for a place to start, this is the only book, it's the only book I've come across. I need to read more, okay? That explicitly connects grading with racial equity. He's still wedded to points. He is, but if you're looking for a place to start in transforming your assessment, this is a good book. He will get you the hell off of the percent scale. But honestly, and I don't, Joe Feldman in 2019 is about where my thinking was in 2008. You can go beyond that. Assessment for racial equity has to be authentic. That's not a new term. I first came across it in ed school in the 90s. I say ed school, I hold a single subject credential. I taught high school for a while. Authentic assessment is, I'll just give you 2 slides about it. When students have a lot of freedom to construct their responses, your assessment will be more authentic. Down here, you got multiple choice questions. The students don't have a lot of freedom in how they respond, very little authenticity. If you give students some freedom to write, some freedom to share, you'll get a whole lot more information about their learning, and the authenticity of the assessment goes up. I believe it tails off at some place because you need a little structure. That's my take on authenticity versus freedom. And the second one is authenticity versus the stakes. High stakes exams, not authentic, because they primarily test for dominant socialization. Why do we teach test-taking skills? So students in high stakes exams can respond well. That's an assimilation strategy. Zero stakes doesn't work either because nobody's got any skin in the game. But there is a sweet spot, and it's pretty low. Low stakes assessments with a lot of freedom for students to respond will generate some authenticity in my assessments. Here's how that might show up in my field. I can give you an algebra question that asks you to evaluate. Make it multiple choice, not very authentic. Math teachers first go to, hey, show your work. I found that that does not lead to greater authenticity. And the reason is that there still is this one way to do things. There's one way to be right. And students are really afraid. That's a socialized fear from their experience in school. They're really afraid to show their work because it will show them, right? Yeah. And there's one way to do it, and they're really afraid to be wrong. The way that question would show up in my classroom is this way. I'll give you the answer. You got technology will give you the answer. I need you to know where it came from and what it means. So why is that is one of my favorite assessment prompts. A student can't answer that without understanding the laws of exponents, right? So they'll have to say something about my curriculum. And also they have a lot of freedom to do it. Also, it's possible for a student in an algebra class to answer that question at a level that would say, you're into advanced math. The level of understanding you can express on that question. Why is that? 2 other prompts I use a lot. I'll drop a data set on some statistics students, and my prompt is, so what? This is after I've earned their trust and we understand what that means. But my all-time favorite is to lead students to a surprising result, and my prompt is WTF. Like, which is really, why is that, or how did that happen? But it's the prompts are all aimed at giving students a lot of freedom to construct their responses, authenticity. Qualitative, and this is my game. This is what I came to as a mathematician. I got 2 degrees in mathematics. I had a first career as an actuary. I made my living developing and using mathematical models of contingent financial events. I came to teaching as a second career. I said, make a mathematical model of student learning. How hard could it be? I've tried everything, every quantitative trick that you've used, and then some. Points are the problem. They are the problem. If you want to find racial differences in education, or the source of the racial disparities in education, I think assessment is the mother lode. And once you dig into that, you're going to find that points, quantitative assessment schemes are absolutely the heart of the oppressive education system. They are subjective. The idea that any way I assess my students is even remotely objective comes to us straight from Lewis Terman and the other eugenicists. It is a white supremacist idea that was developed about intelligence and the IQ tests. And it comes down to us unquestioned. When I feel like I'm being objective, that's because the eugenicists are in my head, and what they were trying to do was demonstrate what they knew to be the racial hierarchy of intelligence. They're a proxy for learning. They're not learning at all. They're one-dimensional measurement of this multifaceted psychological event that takes place in a social context. We're going to put a number on it, and honestly, they are totally, totally normal. Points are the problem. Welcome to our world. Not only does Canvas arrogate to itself the task of determining my students' grades, it insists that I use a percentage scale and then presents the results as though I am capable of discerning 1 part in 10,000 of a student's learning. 4 significant digits on the grades that are reported to students. I would like to call your attention to 2 of them. 87.57% and 87.63% differ by less than 1 part in 1,000. That's a distinction without a difference. And the distinction becomes the focus of the conversation between teacher and student, and it takes learning completely out of the game. Points in Canvas. You can go back in the Canvas message boards and see the threads going back to 2010 about trying to get rid of points, grading without points in Canvas. And ultimately, the Canvas people end the discussion with, we need points, the coders have to have them. I'm dropping a whole lot of stuff on you here today, y'all. I see about 24 minutes left in our session. I'll give you a couple of examples of what I do, and then we'll talk. So I've been using qualitative assessment, and one good thing I will say about teaching virtually in COVID, it has prompted me to really modify my procedures. So you're looking at the big document is what I used in starting in 2019, version 5.2. I've been tweaking this for a long time. I used ABC plus minus. That Y there, not yet. There are no failing grades on assignments in my class. It's Y. That's Carol Dweck's idea. Not yet grading. Right there, Carolyn, thank you. Yeah, and it's a temporary grade. If you fix it, I give it a grade that I invented. It's K. K grade means, okay, we're good. And an X means let it go. And last fall in COVID, I was grading papers and I said, to hell with the pluses and minuses, even the C. It's an A, it's a B, or it's not yet. And I did that last fall. And for a long time, I have clung to the letter grades. And I have told myself and others that it's because because students understand them. And it really quickly communicates an assessment result. And it does that. But what I found is that it also communicates a whole lot of cultural baggage. So starting 3 weeks ago, I moved to version 7.0, and this is influenced by Susan Bloom, ungrading, and also Isao Inouye, contract grading. So assignments in my class get a plus, means we're good, complete. I had an awesome there. I deliberately listed second. You can see B-A-Y, B-A, not yet, right? And all you need to do is complete the tasks. So this is the ungrading part of my assessment. The contract grading is that now I have two types of tasks in my class. There's B tasks and there are A tasks. If you want to get a B, you do all the B tasks. If you want to get an A, you do the B tasks and the A tasks. Complete is fine. You don't need awesome on all of those. And this has been in place for 3 weeks now. The way it looks in Canvas is I use the discussions board. I can't use the grade book because it needs points and it gives that stupid 4 decimal place distraction. So students see this, they see, go get this document and then hit reply here. What I see is in the discussions, each discussion group has 1 student in it. So that's like the student handing a paper to me. I'll put my comments on it and send it back to them only. That's a private channel. It is not easy. It's a lot of clicks. It's 4 clicks between papers. I'll just drop that there. And you're using discussions, you don't get the digital confetti. Digital confetti is insidious. And I'll leave that there and maybe we'll have a chance to, if you want to ask about it. I have colleagues that are trying it this way. We're trying to hack Canvas. So I know a colleague that says every assignment is worth 0 points. So Canvas can't do divide by 0. Gotcha. Quantitative assessment. So that's every assignment is worth 0, and then my colleague will then look at the comments that they made and decide on a grade. I haven't talked with them all about how you make a grade at the end, but Canvas doesn't do it. Here is what do my prompts look like? This was yesterday's B task 4 in one of my classes, one of my stats classes. You're looking at data from the California Racial Identity Profiling Advisory Board, and you know what I can do here is drop that link. This is from the 2020 report. The 2021 report dropped this week, so I'm looking through that one. When AB 953 in 2015 established this board, when a police officer stops a motorist in California, they have to gather some data. So now we're starting to see the data coming in. This is data from 2018. And the prompt is right there. Are traffic stops for reasonable suspicion independent of the driver's race? And the correct answer is hell no, they're not. Students already know that. And what this experience does, when I say, how do you know? Well, now they need to use that knowledge, that cultural, their lived experience, and layer on some language about conditional probability and statistical independence, right? So now, and then can critique their experience. And I hope maybe this is a little antidote to some gaslighting that maybe they've heard. In fact, they have. Like, are you sure? You sure you're not too sensitive? Yeah, people will try to tell you that your lived experience is not true. And here, you can actually say now, no, actually we got the data. The last question on every one of my assessments is please cite any sources or scholars you found helpful, and that's my academic integrity. little prompt there. And in fact, in my grading scheme, when students cite each other, I give the cited scholar credit in my grade book. So I've captured that collaboration and that value that that student has provided. Let's see, do I have student work? So here's how I grade it. It comes to me in Canvas. I see this. And in about, I don't know, 10 seconds, I can see that those histograms are pretty well constructed. They're both the right shape. I see the correct vocabulary on them. And the prompt was, how can you get, or explain why the second histogram is such a different shape when it's based on the same data. And what I read is, this differs from the first one because it's a way different shape. All right, well, that's complete. That's not exemplary. And then I have a cut and paste response. I cut to improve, think about, and that comment then is a cut and paste. So I'm trying to do a little teacher saver here. Dropping a ton of stuff on you. What's my grade book look like? It's this. Want a B, do all the B's. If you get completes on all the B's, that's a B. If you get completes on all the B's and all the A's, that's an A. And over there, the smile faces, that's the credit I give to students for helping each other and things that I observe where they demonstrate some knowledge or some capability. So there. Normal is points. And if it feels normal, it's not equity. Grading by individual discussion groups with one student in each group is really a pain. But if it's easy to do in Canvas, it's not equity. And if equity were easy, we wouldn't call it the work. What is coming up for you? Here you go. Wait, one more thing. Yeah, this is overheard. Cornell West and Joy DeGrew and Michael Eric Dyson in that webinar. If you're looking for systemic racism, look for the word system. And then I go to the Canvas site and I see CY, the biggest educational system in the world, selected Canvas as the best option for students and the educational system as a whole. Yeah, there's Canvas for you. And let's take something in the chat. What's coming up for you? How do you assess for equity? What obstacles do you hit? What tools do you need? And I'll stop the share so we can see some faces here. How you doing? Drop it in the chat. Rachel, is that a hand up there? No? Tell me what you love, Carolyn. Adrian. All right, Adrian. What I read is, I love that you give credit to students for affecting my learning. Would you like to share more about that, Adrian?
I just like what I was noticing in your grade book in terms of giving points to students for helping giving credit.
Thank you.
To students for helping each other out, but that you also recognize that you are in a process of learning as well. And so when students can do something that affects or changes or improves your learning, that you also give them credit for that. I really like that idea.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, every teacher has had that experience, right? A student says or does something, it's like, damn, they got it going on, right? And it didn't show up on one of my tests or assessments, but it's certainly evidence of learning. I want to capture that. Thank you, Amy. Yeah. What else coming up for you? Rachel, I do see your hand. Yes.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for that. That was really interesting. I'm in English, but it was so fascinating to see how you do this from the math side. And I really appreciated your diversity related question. That's a good, about the traffic stops. It's a great example of how people can consider in their field how to make the content more relatable, and more about that. I think in English, I mean, it's a hard enough battle to get folks to do contract grading or to even consider changing their curriculum, you know, the readings. But we have a lot of leeway with what we have them read and write about, right? And
Right.
so to make the content, you know, more focused on racial inequity, et cetera, and anti-racism. But so what do you know, I think it's a little harder for folks maybe in the disciplines where they're learning content like psychology or history or something like that to think about how to shift to this way with the contract grading and make it all more about equity. But so it's interesting when you try to turn other colleagues onto this stuff, you know, there's quite a range of reaction. So anyway, so thanks for these models.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. I will give credit to an English instructor. In fact, I need to give you my references so you can get a screenshot here of my references. Asao Inoue came to our school he's a scholar from University of Arizona. And hello, there we go. Oh, by the way, if you're thinking about tools, don't think small. Here, you want to screenshot that one. Down there, Asao Inoue contract grading. He's an English instructor, and it seems to work easier in English because if you're teaching composition, I know one way to be a better writer is to write more. So you can actually just labor-based grading can work in a composition class. Your question about the other fields, I guess I've got as other a field as there's going to be. And what really changed my practice was when I came to the belief, and that's really a change in my own beliefs about my students. When I believed that they're perfectly capable and complete, and that they have, through their lived experience as an adult human, they have an amazing mathematical ability of which they're not aware. We all do. My colleague, linear algebraist, he has a toddler son, and he was watching his toddler son begin to climb stairs, and he exclaimed, "That kid is solving systems of nonlinear differential equations on the fly to be able to do that. That kid's got math in him that I can't even touch." Once I start thinking that way about my students, now they walk in, they're told, my job is to show it to them, drag it out of them. That's Paulo Freire, the mining tool. Let's see, the tool. Tell me more, Sean, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking about a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, I was going,
but, you know,
over, yeah.
The skip loader works though, you know.
All right. Thank you.
I mean, I got to raise what I do to raise the engagement.
Tanya, did you want to share something? Or is that just props? Rosalind?
Yes, you know, it's so funny that you were just saying what you were saying about math. I teach in culinary arts, and yes, and years ago at Cal State Long Beach, I'll never forget, I had an instructor, and I had taken math more times than I could count, just constantly repeating classes.
I'm sorry.
And I was, you know, felt that I just won't ever get this. And I took a class, and the title was like math, you know, math for students with anxiety or something like that. And he said just what you expressed, that, I mean, we use math in everything we do. And when he started to break it down a little bit differently, it started to make sense. You use so much toilet paper, or like the example of the kid, you know, climbing the stairs. And that has allowed, I've never ever forgotten that lesson. And that's what I've integrated into my classes. I mean, it just works. And pulling that out of them has just been, you know, it's a challenge that I've embraced. And when I express to them different examples of how to get to the end result, it works. And the anxiety of it all kind of dissipates. And I've seen, lots of students grasp concepts when it's expressed in a way that, they could understand.
Yeah, right there is the quotation from Ralph Ellison. Cling to what is real to me while showing me a way into the larger society. That's what you're doing. That's what happened to you, and you know how it felt.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right on. Right on. Thank you, Roz.
So thank you. And I was trying to find that Ralph Ellison quote. So
Okay. You know what? I can drop a couple of things in the chat, I think. Brittany's on us. Please take the survey. All right. Let's see. You know what? I can drop. I got my normal stuff. Yeah, I don't have anything quite that I can do that with. Okay, so donde está la biblioteca? It's not right here. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I love Zoom, don't you? Susan, real world applicability. Yeah, and for teachers. You know, Susan, I stopped saying real world anymore. If the school isn't real, what is this? Right? This is the real world. This is students' lived experiences in school.
Yeah, lived experience is a better way of saying that, but I agree that bringing something to the students that we can all learn from and that we can all use in our daily lives, I think is important, and that we can relate to. I teach English as well, Rachel. So being able to bring text that students are able to access and show how it's working in their real lives,
Right
I
on,
think
right
is important.
Connect with what is real to them while showing them
Yes.
the larger society. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Susan. Thank you. Natalie, you want to share, please?
Hi, I just wanted to thank you for this presentation. I think it's funny that you're a math teacher and you're saying points, no points, that's amazing. You're coming to an SLO symposium and telling a bunch of SLO facilitators that assessment has to be qualitative. And I love it. We have to, that is totally not normal. And we have to get out of this normalness. So I just noticed this as I was listening to the presentation, but just thumbs up, I took a screenshot of your new grading, but whatever it was the awesome, the asterisk or the plus, or I don't know which one.
Plus, asterisk, screw grade. I'm sorry. Grades carry so much baggage. I'll tell you what, that was partly a teacher saver move on my part to get rid of A's and B's. Because when I was returning a paper, I was only using A, B, and not yet. But when I put a B on there, students wanted a whole lot more feedback than I was ready to give, right? It's like, I got you something, I'll give you something, but they want more. And how can I make it an A? I mean, that's normal behavior, right? So that's not that was killing me. That was taking way more out of me. But if I just say, all you need is complete, they're good. And I've got, give you some things to think about if you want to carry it on. But that cut my grading time to a more tolerable level. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Others, we have a few minutes left. Yeah, Carolyn, thank you. How do we reconcile let it go marks in classes that are built on cumulative knowledge? Thank you for that. It's at some point, my intentions are to bring people stressed down and, if I can, create a meaningful learning experience. So the assessment prompts, the tasks that I've set, I have chosen intentionally and deliberately to create a particular experience. If a student is working on a task that I had set from several weeks ago, the learning value of that task has pretty much expired. It would be far better for their attention to be right on what we're doing now, because we're moving on. That's another thing that we just do normally. And so it's I would say that the let it go, how do I let that go, is that the learning value of that task expired, because at some point it becomes, I'm trying to control students' behavior. Hey, go do these things, right? But I'm not. I'm trying to foster a learning experience, and working with what students bring mean their the way they've completed a task, or have not yet completed a task. It would be better for their attention, a better learning experience for them to be with us right now, have this discussion here, knowing that there's, you don't know how to describe data very well, right? You're going to be in a collaborative group, and several of them do know how to describe data and construct a histogram that we did 6 weeks ago. I'm not sure if I'm understanding your question or answering it at all. I'm kind of freelancing here. Carolyn, what do you think there? I'm pretty sure I did a very poor job of responding to your question, Carolyn.
I think it's about maybe tied to the structure that we use in so many programs of sequenced classes. And so what is, I mean, the chips are going to fall down the line or fall up the line. And then we have to ask the question, maybe it's not that we didn't prepare the student in 1A, but we did, and the person in 1B just doesn't recognize the preparedness of them. But so different pieces of that system have to change.
Yes, and one narrative that I might want to just toss out there, we've got so little time left, is that the material is not, our subject is not as sequential as we might think. As it's students who have some missing, what we would say, fundamental skill, can still be in the game, because the current topic may reach some of their lived experience in a different way and really light them up. It's possible that our sequenced curriculum is not nearly as sequenced as it really is. I got a couple of direct messages. Let me know what your consulting fees are. I got a full-time job. Retention, and what about when people return after COVID? If I knew the answer to that, I'd probably be in Biden's cabinet right now. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you got your money's worth. And I appreciate your contributions. I mean, thank you, Anna. I see that. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thank Brittany. Take her survey. Take the survey. Kanati, thank you. Yeah. There it is. There it is.